A man wakes up to find that hours of his life have been erased, and strange occurrences begin to unfold. The sunlight streamed through the cracks of the curtains, casting faint lines across the room. Alan groggily opened his eyes, his head heavy with a strange ache. The first thing he noticed was the unsettling silence. His phone lay on the nightstand, but something felt off. The clock on his wall read 9:15 a.m., but his watch said 11:45. He frowned, the discrepancy making no sense. He pulled himself from the bed, feeling the cold wooden floor beneath his feet as he went to the bathroom to splash water on his face, trying to shake the grogginess. As his reflection met his gaze, he noticed something even more peculiar. His face looked older than it had the night before, though he couldn't pinpoint exactly what had changed. A dull ache in his chest accompanied the creeping realization that something wasn't right. He couldn't remember a single thing about last night. Alan glanced at his wrist again, unable to ignore the nagging feeling in his gut. The discrepancy between the two clocks still didn't make sense. What happened to those lost hours? He had no recollection of the events leading up to the morning. The last thing he could remember was watching a late-night TV show, but after that, nothing. He glanced around the apartment, searching for clues. His coat was hanging on the chair where it usually was, but something felt wrong. He spotted a small, torn piece of paper on the kitchen counter. Scribbled on it were numbers, 3:15 a.m. His heart skipped a beat. Was this some sort of message? As he left his apartment and walked down the familiar streets to his office, Alan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He passed by his neighbors, who usually greeted him with smiles or polite nods. But today, their smiles were strained, almost forced. Mrs. Andrews, the elderly woman who lived on his floor, looked at him with wide eyes, as if she knew something he didn't. The moment their eyes met, she quickly turned away, muttering something under her breath. Alan's footsteps quickened, his mind racing. It was as if the whole world was acting in slow motion, and he was the only one who was out of sync. He approached his friend and co-worker, Sarah, in the office, but when he tried to say hello, she froze. As the day went on, Alan found more and more evidence pointing to something terrible happening during the missing hour. In his office drawer, tucked beneath papers, was a photo of himself, his face pale and distant, eyes wide with fear. It wasn't just any photo, though. It had been taken the night before, but there was something unsettling about the way his reflection appeared in the glass behind him. Alan's stomach twisted as he recalled the flash of unease that ran through him when he first saw the picture. He couldn't explain why, but it felt as if his memory was deliberately being erased. Sarah came to him later that day with a strange look on her face. She handed him a piece of paper with a cryptic message. You have to remember, don't let it win. Alan's sense of reality began to unravel as the day wore on. The people he once knew and trusted began to disappear or behave erratically. Sarah, who had always been a steady presence at work, started acting as though she was avoiding him. When Alan asked her what was wrong, she stammered and quickly made an excuse to leave. His boss, Mr. Cole, a stern man with a strict demeanor, greeted him in the hallway with a strange look of pity, as if he were already mourning Alan's fate. Alan's anxiety grew as he witnessed more and more people who seemed to be fading into the background of his life. He couldn't understand what was happening to them or to him. Later that evening, Alan found himself standing in the middle of his apartment, staring at the walls as his mind swirled with visions he couldn't explain. Flashbacks hit him in rapid succession. He saw himself standing in a dark room, watching someone in the shadows, yet when he tried to focus on the figure, it vanished. He was at a table, talking to someone, but the details were blurry. The strangest part was that he could hear the conversation clearly, but his own voice seemed distant, like he was listening from outside of his body. Was he hallucinating? No, this felt too real. The flashbacks were getting more vivid by the second, and he realized that somehow he had been in two places at once. The deeper he dug into these fragments of memories, the more questions he had. The pieces were falling together in Alan's mind, but the picture was still incomplete. Someone, or something, had been tampering with his memory. It wasn't just a case of missing hours. It was deliberate erasure. Alan's body began to tremble as the implications set in. His watch was still showing the missing hour, but now his mind was racing to keep up with the terror building in his chest. He had become a pawn in something much bigger than he had ever imagined. Was it possible that someone had stolen these precious hours to keep him from remembering something he wasn't supposed to know? He could feel it now, the weight of what had been taken from him. Alan's search for answers led him to an ancient book hidden in the dusty corners of the library. The pages were brittle, the ink fading, but the words were chilling. It spoke of an entity, a dark force that fed on the manipulation of time itself. This force could erase memories, twist reality, and bind people into endless loops of forgotten moments. Alan's heart raced as he read through the passages. Force described in the book was real, and it had targeted him. He was just one of many victims. Unlike the others, he had a chance to break free. The curse had been unleashed on him, and now he had to fight it with everything he had. Alan's only hope now was to break the curse before the force wiped him from existence entirely. According to the book, the missing hours were tied to a ritual, one that had been forgotten by most of humanity. But Alan had found the key. It was his life that held the power to reverse the curse. But it wouldn't be easy. He would have to confront the dark force head on, face the unknown, and solve the riddle of his own erased past. Time was running out, and the more Alan searched for answers, the more he felt the weight of the force closing in. But deep down, he knew that only he could stop it. Alan's final confrontation with the dark force came in the quiet of his apartment late that night. Armed with the knowledge he had uncovered, he pieced together the missing hour. He closed his eyes, trying to focus on the fragments of memory, his family, his friends, the moments he had lost. With a sharp inhale, he invoked the words from the ancient book, challenging the dark force to release its grip on his mind. A wave of cold energy surged through him, and for a moment, everything seemed to freeze. Then slowly, time began to shift. Alan's memories began to return in a rush, each piece clicking into place. But the dark force wasn't done with him yet. It tried to erase him once more, but Alan was ready. With one final push, he shattered the curse, freeing himself from the darkness. Did you enjoy this chilling tale? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more terrifying stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of suspense. Share your thoughts on the story in the comments below and let me know what you'd like to see next.